Well, I guess speaking about, say, Sydney and Australia in particular, it was all those the live gigs were just alive and well. I mean, everybody was working and playing, and there were every bar and whatever, they had music, and I remember that. But I also remember it right after that became the cold digital age, kind of changed the whole way of doing things, where the power sort of got taken away from the musicians, and it was more about the engineers and the programmers and the technical people. It was a huge fundamental change in the way it all then it turns into MP3 files, Oh, very much so, very much so. And even more specifically, trying to unlock that secret of of using very little to try to sort of say is quite a lot, if you know what I mean. So less instruments, more lingering music. Right. Well, it would have to be the song that I think a lot of people know, "Crying in the Chapel," which was a sort of like a full production job, but more to the point where not only was it fully orchestrated in terms of musicians and whatnot, we had programmed parts in it, and a little formulaic, if you like. It was the advent of that monster Mitsubishi 48-channel digital machine, which everybody overnight believed they had to have in their studios for it to make a real record, And that was a big part of it, because suddenly you had this 48-channel digital machine, which was going to answer all the problems, which was going to present us with a whole new development of popular music. It's debatable whether that happened, of course, but I found myself in downtown Los Angeles being a live-in stage manager of this massive film space. And that became the catalyst for this club that we had down there in the premises, and basically what all the songs are about on the new record, which is songs from the dime, which is songs from Skid Row and that whole downtown area, which is extremely unique to the rest of California or whatever. We wrote a lot of songs. We're doing a lot of recordings down there at this film space I was describing. We had a little recording studio there, and it was actually quite a hub. There were some of the young guys that were just developing the new Pro Tools. They lived across the street, and there's some great little venues there, little smaller ones. So we're doing a lot of performing and a lot of recording. It was sort of like the faulty towers of film spaces, and like we never quite had enough money to really bring it into its own. Like, for example, whenever a new crew would come in, they'd have to rewire. They would spend a day doing stuff. So to answer the question, it was a lot of independent film, a lot of Chinese and Koreans. We had some of the popular sitcoms at the time. Actually, we used to come and move into our space and use it as a carpentry place, to build sets because a lot of things get shot down there, which you think's actually in New York, but they're all shot downtown LA, So all kinds of things, except for the fully blown, Burt Reynolds and stuff and all that. I think, having been so desperate to get out of Australia, I went full circle, and I've now come to sort of feel Australia is really come into its own, Just the achievements of all these different Australians all across the board, whether it be in business and architecture, music. David Cameron's main advisor is an Australian now, The person who looks after his kids is an Australian. Australia has come into its own, It's finally putting on its big boy pants, sort of thing. Well, there's been a fundamental change, and it's been all about the Napster free download thing and the repercussions of this. The fact that people don't want to pay for their music, really. So in the live context, what you've got is pretty much nothing going on at all. You've got everybody everybody writing and performing, but there's very few places to play except for those marquee spots, you know, where it might be the concert hall or the Enmore Theatre or whatever. And as a consequence to all of this digital revolution, people, I think, don't mind paying a lot more to go and see a show. You know, it was back in the day, it'd be, you know, you pay $30 to go and see something. Now it's $125. So the live performance thing, on a certain level, has really become the main focus. That's been the main change, you know, I think. Well, the idea came where I'd been through this process of making records for major labels in America and wasting all this money, and then still at the end of it feeling, well, I haven't gotten any better. I don't feel like I really am singing. Something's going against me here. Something's been taking away the very thing that you are, or you think you are, which precipitated my journey downtown Los Angeles, where all bets are off down there. You know, it's a whole other reality down there. I mean, you've got on average 14,000 homeless people on a 5-square block living in boxes on the street. But most of them wouldn't want to be anywhere else. There's a certain joy de voir to the place, you know. And I figured, this is where I'm going to learn how to sing. So I was down there for 5 or 6 years. The film space was an old renovated hotel from the 40s, and it had a beautiful ballroom, a huge ballroom, which tiled, and we used to have it. Certain shots would be great in there and what. But I would sit there in the sweet spot of that huge hall, and it gave rise to this whole sort of style, which has become this record. You know, a very big sounding record, but very simple but very emotional record. It's a little bit like the Camus quote, where I'm just paraphrasing, but where he basically said that, you know, everybody's work is that journey through the canyons of whatever, art and life, to rediscover those 1 or 2 or 3 times when your heart first opened up to something. I think that's what it's all about, is actually going back to a place where, because we lose it, you know. I mean, it's all about confidence, and the more distance you have between something, a good experience can play havoc on your ability to be who it is you are, you know. So I think it's that you've got to learn to sort of somehow revisit that place and be there again, but now, you know, or in the future. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. When I went down to the Film and Sound Archives in Canberra not long ago, I was just absolutely astounded. I was astounded by the expertise of all the people there. The whole thing every single thing because I was taken on a full tour, spoke to everybody. Every single thing they're doing down there is just astonishing, absolutely. You know, the beautiful little theatre where they show the films, and even the vinyl night, you know, which is just such a logical thing to be, because that is in fact real music, you know, playing it off a record. Well, we've put together what I think is a really nice gift for the archives, and that's my area award and my original ticket from the show, the first show ever, and some pertinent film clipping. It's interesting you should ask that, because we listened to that last night on vinyl and on this beautiful old Grundig 12-valve system, and it sounded good. It really did. I hadn't heard it for ages. Listening to it last night, I just appreciated the relaxation of those musicians. They were the very best musicians, all those people, you know, the Jim Keltners and the whatnots. They just the relaxation of how they played, you know. It's just beautiful.